We've reached a new month, so now it's time to rank all four October 2024 releases that I saw from worst to best. And coming in at last place at number four is Piece by Piece. I have absolutely no idea who this movie was for. There is no reason for this to have been Lego. Just feels like Farrell wanted it to be Lego so it would stand out from other biopics, but they don't really do anything to take advantage of that medium. Unlike other Lego movies, there's no humor, there's no self awareness, there's no satire. If you're going to do it in Lego form, it's sort of a satire on biopics like the Weird Al movie or Surf's Up. But no, you replace the Lego with live action, it's the exact same movie. I feel like it was only made in Lego because they thought it might give them a shot at getting nominated for Best Animated Film Oscar. Who is the audience for this? Kids will find it very boring, but I don't think that many adults are clamoring to watch a Lego movie about Pharrell Williams. On top of that, the movie is PG, but despite that technically kid friendly rating, you can tell it really wants to be PG-13. Ironically, by using the LEGO format to express himself, Farrell actually limits himself because of how much they'll let him do in the LEGO setting. Really, this just feels like 2 hours of Farrell and his friends in the music industry getting together and saying, yes, we are. Look how awesome it is to be a celebrity. The big problem with this is Farrell produced the movie himself, so of course he's not going to include anything that makes him look bad. What makes biopics interesting is it shows the subject's good and bad sides. This is just 100% of Farrell essentially patting himself on the back. Ironically, the movie that actually is called The Lego Movie feels like less of a commercial than this does. This whole film just feels so self indulgent. There's a line in this movie that Farrell says where he says relevance is a drug, which just seems so hypocritical, since it seems the only reason for this movie's existence is for him to stay relevant. This also feels like Universal Studios reminding us, hey, we made Despicable Me. Remember how much you loved that Happy song 10 years ago? Remember? We did that. Praise us. What makes biopics interesting is the struggles of the subject of the biopic, and this doesn't have any of that. Farrell was just a guy who was in the right place at the right time and knew the right people. There's no juice, there's no meat, there's no conflict. If you're in that very small niche who's into both Lego and Pharrell Williams, wait to stream it. And if this idea doesn't appeal to you at all, you're not missing out and it's not going to surprise you when you can skip it. Number three, Venom The Last Dance. The trailers got me so hyped for this movie. It promised a big epic showdown, a true finale, going out with a bang, and 90% of the cool stuff was in the trailer. Now, it is more of the same of what we like about the first two Venom movies, mainly the relationship between Eddie and Venom, and some funny one-liners from Venom, but on a plot level, the movie is really flimsy. All the Venom movies had their silly moments, but this one got too silly, to the point where I was just burying myself in facepalming embarrassment at what I was witnessing on screen. And a huge problem with this movie is the same huge problem I had with Let There Be Carnage. The second act is just nothing but filler. You can leave the theater for the entire middle section of this movie and come back for the last half hour and still feel like you missed nothing. That being said, the last act is pretty cool, but it's not enough to make up for how lackluster the rest of the movie is. If you're maybe 10 years old, you might have a lot of fun with this, but it's just not lacking. If you're one of those people who absolutely has to watch every Marvel project, just wait for Netflix. And if you're in the camp who was indifferent on or didn't like the first Venom movie, this one's not going to win you over either, and you could justify skipping it. That being said, it's at least more competently made than Morbius or Madam Web, and hopefully this is the last we see of these Spider-Man-less Marvel villain projects. Number two, Whitebird, a very well done historical fiction World War II era movie. It's in the same universe as 2017's Wonder, but you don't need to have watched Wonder to understand it. This is a movie that shows even in dark, uncertain times, there are still people with kindness in their hearts. The friendship between the two main characters, one who is a boy with disabilities and the other a Jewish girl being hidden in the family shed, is moving and well written. The performances here are quite moving as well. The film is emotional in several ways, and the last 30 minutes are intense, as things go from bad to worse for the main characters. Amidst the film's intense, serious tone, the film still has an uplifting message of hope and kindness. I was swelled with emotion during this film, and it was so close to being a perfect score. However, the one issue that holds the film back is it seems the writers did not know how to end the film. The last 5 minutes feel shoehorned and unnecessary, just there to repeat a message that was already well conveyed, and should just let the film speak for itself. And though a character sets up the film at the beginning is implied to have changed, we never see him go out of his way at the end of the film to repent of the reason he was told the story in the first place. Character is the bully of Augie, the main character of Wonder, who we learn has been expelled for how he treated him. By the end of the film, he has learned kindness, but instead of showing him apologies to Augie, the film instead uses Helen Mirren's character to repeat the film's message. This is a bit of a nitpick, I know, but that's how I feel the film could have wrapped up better. This is a Holocaust film, so it is heavy, so that's something you're sensitive to. This film may not be for you. I do think the film has enough of a light in the darkness to justify a watch, so if you have the time, watch it. And number one is Monster Summer. It is such a shame that this movie had little to no marketing. It opened on the same day as Joker 2, and it wasn't showing at very many theaters in my area. Only two out of the five theaters in my area were showing this movie. And a big reason I have for this movie is I have no idea why it was PG-13. At best, it's PG. It's the same level as the Jack Black Goosebumps movie or Scooby-Doo. There wasn't anything graphic in terms of violence, there was no harsh profanity, there was no sexual content or innuendo. It's just a good, clean, fun, entry-level spooky movie for families. Honestly, I've seen PG movies that were much darker than this. But I'm not talking about PG movies from the 70s and 80s like Jaws or Gremlins that were made before PG-13 was created. I'm talking about modern day ones like Coraline or House of the Clock on the Walls that definitely should have been PG-13. This plays well for both kids and adults. It's more into adult fears than it does kids. Kids go missing in this movie, which for a parent is the scariest thing that can happen. Kids will enjoy the kids in this movie teaming up to rid their town of the witch terrorizing it. Yeah, the villain was a witch, so I don't know why it was called Monster Summer, but the only monster in the movie is a witch. There's no werewolves or vampires. For a smallish budget movie with a fairly limited release, it has a good cast. Mel Gibson, Kevin James, Smalls from The Sandlot. This is the perfect movie for families in October season. So if your kid enjoys Goosebumps, Monster House, and things like that, go see it. There you have it. There's my ranking of the 2024 October releases. Share your ranking in the comments.